Good morning. It is Thursday, August 25th, 2011, and clearly all eyes are on the tropics. But first, we have to deal with a cold front moving through the northern Mid-Atlantic. And this cold front is actually having an impact on Irene, which we'll talk about in just a moment. First, let me break down the cold front here and the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms. For premium members, you already know that I really don't expect much in the way of severe weather with this cold front. And the reason why, well, I'll show in just a moment. But let me just show you real fast. There we go, got that fixed. One, we have an area of heavy rainfall and strong thunderstorms moving through the Philadelphia metropolitan area. This area of rainfall will move towards the New York City metropolitan area and likely will impact your Yankee game. So for all you asking about the Yankee game today, yes, there will be a delay in the game. The good news is that you get this break here between this cold front here and this prefrontal trough. So you'll probably get your game in between around 2, maybe 3 o'clock starting off, and then you have until about 5, 6 o'clock to get the game finished. And frankly, considering it's close to the end of the season, or if you're a Met fan, the season's already over. And considering that I don't think the A's head back to the East Coast the rest of the season, or at least not close to New York, I think that they're going to try really hard to get this game in. So if you're going to the game, expect for a lengthy delay. So why don't I think there's going to be severe thunderstorms today? Well, first of all, let me take a look at the visible satellite picture, and well, look at that. There's a lot of cloud cover. Now, the fact that there's a lot of cloud cover over much of central and eastern Pennsylvania tells me that after this heavy rain band moves through, there isn't a lot of breaks developing that would support temperatures to rapidly warm up and thus make the atmosphere unstable. And that's important because when we look at the mid-level lapse rate, it really isn't all that organized. You have a pocket over eastern Pennsylvania, you got another pocket behind the cold front actually in the Ohio River Valley, and everywhere else is pretty much scattered as far as instability at the mid-levels. So we really don't have a really dynamic, unstable mid-level atmosphere to begin with. But then when we look at the lower levels of the atmosphere, and by the way, this can all be found at the SPC website, with the mesoscale analysis. It's great if you want to start to learn about mesoscale meteorology if you're a science major or a meteorology major in college. Anyway, notice the low level lapse rate here. It's pretty weak. It's really, really weak actually. Normally what I like to look for severe weather is a lapse rate at the lower levels of 6 degrees Celsius or higher. And clearly what we have in place here is something that is far weaker. Take off the radar here, you can see that the lapse rate is around 5 degrees Celsius, and what that basically means is that the greater the difference between the surface and 700 millibars in temperatures, the stronger the updraft is from the surface to the mid-levels. Stronger the updraft, the stronger the thunderstorm. So if you really don't have a significant difference in temperatures between the surface and the mid-levels, you really don't have a strong rising motion in the atmosphere, and thus, although you can still get heavy rain and some thunderstorms, you really don't develop the potential for severe thunderstorms. And if you really want to put the nail in the coffin here, the wind shear, although it's marginal, it's not all that impressive. In fact, let me go to 850 millibars here, and you can see that really the winds are for the most part coming from the same direction, from the southwest. Really isn't much in the way of wind shear, and where there is wind shear, the instability is very low because the wind shear right here is behind the heavy rainfall over eastern Pennsylvania, which has significantly cooled central Pennsylvania, thus the cloud cover and the lack of severe thunderstorm development. So while there is a threat for thunderstorms this afternoon, I really don't think that they're going to be able to become severe because of all the inhibiting factors set up in place with this cold front. So I'll keep an eye on the threat, but I think after 6 p.m. over eastern Pennsylvania, you're in the clear, and after 8 p.m. for the New York City metropolitan area and much of Connecticut, you'll be in the clear from rain as well. Then we have high pressure built in, and then a hurricane. Let's take a look at our hurricane right now. This is the latest satellite picture of Hurricane Irene. Now you might be saying to yourself, where is the eye? Right now Irene is going through two different processes. One is being pulled north by our trough that is moving off of the east coast. Thus you can kind of see the elongated shape here in the last few frames. Let me stop this here for just a moment. Go back to the last frame, and you can see our center is right here, and you can see it's kind of pulled on the northern edge of our hurricane, especially the outflow boundaries becoming enhanced. The outflow pattern at the upper levels is being enhanced because we have southwesterly winds, which you can see right here, starting to pull our hurricane a little bit more north. Now I'm going to show the water vapor in just a moment, but I also want to bring up the point that we also are in the middle of what's called an eye wall replacement. Thus basically we're developing a new eye wall, and the eye really is ragged right now, and there's some central dense overcast. But the key factor here is that our pressure is down to 950 millibars. That's pretty strong. So while winds right now are around 115 miles per hour sustained with our major hurricane, that's a Category 3 hurricane, there is significant potential for Irene to significantly intensify, especially starting tonight on through tomorrow. And I'll show why in just a moment. Now, here's our water vapor satellite picture, and I'm going to stop it on the last frame. And this is what I was talking about with our winds. They're from the southwest, but notice here's our trough. The strongest winds are located in New England and around the St. Lawrence River Valley. They're not anywhere near our hurricane. Yes, there is a steering current, and yes, obviously Irene's starting to be pulled to the north with that northwesterly component, but it's not able to pick up and kick out Irene, which we already knew. The key here is that our trough is leaving a little bit earlier than I thought it might, and that's troubling. And the reason why it's troubling is because that means the influences of this trough is going to leave earlier, like tonight, and allow Irene to continue on to move to the northwest. I would not be surprised if we see a jog more to the west-northwest, which will likely scare many people along the southeast coast here, even more so than they probably are right now. But at the same time, Irene's going to be tracking over the Gulf Stream, and when you have waters around 90 degrees Celsius with light winds aloft, that typically leads to significant strengthening of a hurricane. And that's why I've forecasted winds around 135 miles per hour, which the NHC originally did not think would be possible, but it looks like that is exactly what's going to happen.